Hello and welcome to the May 2025 energy reading. My name is Melanie Santos. For those of you who may not know me, I have a feeling that there's going to be some new folks that are going to be watching this, so please say hello in the comments. I'm tuning in from Brooklyn, New York City. I don't know if you heard that siren, because I do try to edit as much noise as I can out as possible, but we take any outside noise as just emphasis for what I'm saying. I do host these publicly now, but I've been doing them privately for a very long time, for almost 6 years now. And so I just want to remind anybody who needs a reminder, anybody who's new here, that I host these every single month with the intention of driving awareness of the fact that we are not only human beings with spirits incarnate, that yes, we are on this life and on this sometimes arduous journey of growth and evolution, but that we hold power, and there is so much power in our decisions and so much power in being aware of what's happening cosmically, what's happening energetically, and how we can interact with that energy, with our own energy, to align with an easier, more pleasurable life, to really align with what messages life is trying to offer us, what kind of clarity, and to really make our dreams come true. I know that sounds really corny, but it's what we're here for. Speaking of pleasure and trying to actualize our goals, I do want to get into some of the energy of the month, the cosmic energy of the month, before we get into the card reading. As I'm recording this, we have a few weeks of Taurus season left. This season of like stability and grounding the ideas and the clarity that we got during Aries season, and really making decisions that create a stronger foundation to live a life of pleasure and balance and beauty. When I think of Taurus season, it's really surrounded by this energy of understanding our natural abundance, like the abundance of like our minds and our bodies, the intelligence of our bodies, embodiment, being and embodying our intentions so that we can really create this strong foundation of pleasure and balance and beauty and money and abundance of literally all kinds. On May 20th, we're going to be jumping straight into my season. Gemini season. I am a Gemini sun, and it's just this beautiful, like we're going from this earthy foundation of abundance embodiment season into this air season of adaptability, versatility, duality. I think Geminis are, people say we're flip-floppy, but it's just that we can hold nuance. Gemini rules the third astrological house of communication and like all mental activity. And so when Gemini season comes around, it helps us put words to what our perspective and what our spiritual energetic outlook is. If Aries season, Aries being the first zodiac sign, the beginning of the energetic new year, if Aries season has sparked this fire, Taurus steadied that flame, Gemini is sort of like the smoke that comes from it. Smoke for centuries and centuries has been seen as this carrying our intentions up, but also as a signal, right? So I want you to think of Gemini season as like smoke signals from the universe, from spirit, from God, from Great Mother, from Gaia, signaling to us what's ready to be shared, communicated, expressed in the world. This is naturally a time of a lot of mental energy. Again, this is an air sign, so it's like lots of air, mental energy, mental stimulation, curiosity. I'm always talking about curiosity because I find that it is the most important aspect of spirituality. Curiosity, being able to question and receiving clarity because of your curiosity and questioning. I want to offer a warning as a Gemini, because we're coming out of this very grounded season of Taurus, to not allow yourself to just float up into space. Make sure you're still doing or like overcompensating for the grounding that you're not necessarily going to have in Gemini season, because even with the questioning and the clarity and all the mental stuff, you can start to like float up like a balloon. So make sure that you're staying put, you're staying grounded, and you're balancing out that mental activity with more like embodied action. Now let's get into the luminaries, which it's the only thing I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about any other cosmic movements except for the full and the new moon. And I do want to say that if you're a part of my email list, if you're not a part of my email list, what are you doing? Because I do send out not just what's going on for you, offerings that I am offering you, but I also send out lunar insights for every full and new moon. Sometimes I share like journal prompts and things that I have going on that are going to help you on your journey. And so let's talk about the upcoming full moon in Scorpio on May 12th. Scorpio is ruled not just by the scorpion, but also by the phoenix, which I'll get to in a second because I think it's really, really important when we're talking about the archetype or like the energy of Scorpio. But Scorpio also rules over the 8th astrological house of transformation, death, the unseen. And it's ruled by Mars, planet of action, and also Pluto, the planet of death, transformation, and rebirth. And so when I think of the scorpion and the phoenix, the scorpion is like, don't with me. It's like deep, dark water, and also don't with me because I will spray you with my venom. And then we have the phoenix, which many people like to talk about, like, yeah, the phoenix rises from the ashes, but they don't talk about the prequel to that, like what happens before. Why was it ashes to begin with? And it's because the phoenix decides to light itself on fire in order to transform itself. And so I think that's a great just like reminder and omen for this full moon in Scorpio, is that this is a time to really dive deep within ourselves emotionally in order to, as almost like a prerequisite for receiving clarity. This full moon in Scorpio in particular highlights the tension between Taurus and Scorpio, right? Taurus season, the sun is in Taurus opposing the full moon in Scorpio. It's like this tension between holding on with Taurus and letting go with Scorpio. And so while Taurus season is inviting us to like ground in the pleasures of like earthly things, stay grounded, Scorpio season is reminding us like, okay, yeah, you can stay grounded, but things are always changing. And so when I think about that really practically in terms of like what we can do for ourselves for this full moon in Scorpio, and even this month, we should and can be like really like I'm getting a very clear vision of us like being really cozy at home and doing things that are grounding in order to create the perfect environment for this shadow work that needs to be done with this full moon. This is a full moon of like deep self-interrogation, of self-recognition, of self-validation, and also just like curiosity and like non-judgmentalism. Like really taking into account that this is a journey. Just because you haven't gotten to where you thought you were going to be doesn't mean that you'll never get there, or whatever the case may be. But we should also be taking into account that just because we haven't gotten to where we wanted to be, also taking into account how maybe we have stopped ourselves, inhibited ourselves. What fears exist there as a barrier? What emotions are there? What frustrations are there? What are the sort of ideas, mindsets, beliefs that maybe don't belong to us, maybe we deem as negative, that are acting as a shield and sort of like shielding us from getting to where we want to be. I am currently on day 5 of 36 of this 36 lessons for 36 years series, where I'm posting something that I've learned throughout my life for 36 days leading up to my 36th birthday. And today I asked y'all on Instagram what topic you want the next video to be, and everybody chose, well, not everybody, but most people chose fear. And I'm really happy to be producing this video today and posting it today because it's super in alignment with the lunation that we're going to experience in a few days. Because when we merge with our fear, when we experience or like go through the fear, that Scorpio magnetism really gets awakened within us. We sort of get to experience ourselves as like not only this like warrior force, like, oh shit. It's like asking yourself, did you die though? And you answering for yourself being like, no, I didn't die. And I actually did the thing that I thought, my ego was telling me that I couldn't do. And so we become like energetically like enlightened, not by force, but from depth. And that's Scorpio. And lastly, on May 26th, we have a new moon in Gemini, the sun and the new moon meeting in the sign of Gemini. Before I say anything, I would love to see you at my new moon Kundalini portal. It is a virtual Kundalini part workshop, part class, where it's all focused on and curated for the new moon so we can start this new lunar cycle together. We had one last month for the new moon in Taurus and it was beautiful. We got really, really embodied because that was what we were focusing on. Got really beautiful reviews from that class. I'm super looking forward to seeing you there. I'm going to leave a link to the May new moon portal in the description box, and I'm going to leave it on the screen for you here as well. We already spoke about Gemini energy, and so this new moon, which is again the start of a new lunar cycle, is starting this new lunar cycle focused on communication, ideas, being able to like harness duality. Gemini is this archetype of the curious communicator, and so this lunation really reminds us that our words create worlds. So not only do we need to be very intentional about what we say, it's coming up like we need to be very intentional and very careful about how we talk about ourselves, because people are listening. And more than that, you're listening. And so going back to our words create worlds, not only should we be careful and intentional about what we say and why, we should also be doing or like ritualizing our voice and like our speech and our communications and just how we create things from expression from our minds, like how it comes through us, and like ritualizing that. Like maybe you voice record your intentions or you video record your intentions and play them back for you. Maybe you record a set of affirmations that are custom just for you so you can hear your own voice repeating those affirmations to you. Here comes some sirens for some emphasis. Generally, a new moon in Gemini supports like expression. So again, paying attention to what the ethers are sort of signaling you to put out into the world, from projects to conversations. Honest expression is highlighted for sure. And again, as a warning, and also to remind y'all that like these cosmic bodies rule parts of our body, Gemini rules the nervous system. And so it's a beautiful time, very important time, to really pay attention to how we may be burned out, how we may be mentally scattered, how we maybe don't have clarity, not because we're confused, but because our energy is so stuffy and dense. Maybe this is a good time to get some energetic cleansing, some deep energetic cleansing. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I do want you to also take into account that there are other cosmic movements going on. Please go watch, read, pay attention to the ethical astrologers. I do think it's important to pay attention to what else is going on in the cosmos and how does that affect me and my energetic blueprint. All right, let's get into the reading. I actually don't have that much time, which is good because I yap a little bit too much. I have 5 decks to get through. Here we go, more noise. I chose 4 and I chose a bonus deck as sort of like a... Let's pick our first card from the Goddess Guidance Oracle deck by Doreen Virtue and see what our first message is for May 2025 for the highest and greatest good of the collective. Okay, we had a card jump out of the deck. I love it. And it is White Tara Sensitivity. White Tara Sensitivity. Ooh, it's so crazy because again, I'm doing this series, this 36 for 36 series, and yesterday's video that I posted was video 4, and it was all about the truth about sensitivity. And what I was sharing was that sensitivity is not weakness, it's intelligence. Sensitivity is protection. Sensitivity is power to be remembered. Like we are lied to when it comes to understanding ourselves as sensitive beings. And you may be watching this as the toughest person on the planet being like, I ain't sensitive. I'm strong. We're all sensitive beings. We are sensory beings. And so we are sensitive beings. We could, like the fact that we can get, this is very morbid, but like hurt and die makes us very sensitive beings. Like we are not immortal. We are sensitive to everything, the elements, emotions, and we're sensitive to things that are unseen, things that are in our subtle field. That means we are sensitive. And so the card says you are becoming increasingly sensitive. Avoid harsh relationships, environments, situations, and chemicals. What's coming up first is that this is highlighting the energy that we're going to be feeling this month. We talked about this full moon in Scorpio, super sensitive time. This new moon in Gemini could also be a super sensitive time because I don't like to say that the universe tests us. I don't like that phrase, but I do think that the universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call higher power, gives us opportunities to utilize energy in order for us to expand. And so for this full moon in Scorpio, for Gemini season, for this new moon in Gemini, we're going to be receiving opportunities to really self-interrogate, to really ask ourselves. And that can be super uncomfortable and really probe at points within ourselves that are sensitive. And so it's not so much that you want to avoid harsh relationships, environments, situations, and chemicals, sure, all the way. But you want to make sure that you are armed and ready to deal with what is being excavated, what is coming to the surface, and how you deal with that. So it's not residing in your body and it's not residing in your aura. This also blends in with the reminder of like Gemini's rules the nervous system. And so when you're coming across information within yourself, self-interrogating, doing shadow work, setting intentions, you're out in the world, you're going to events, you're meeting with people, you're like living your life, right? But you're not doing so with the intention of staying armed, ready, protected, and cleansed in your energetic field. You're sucking in all of those energetic toxins and they're literally living They're living within you, within your physical body, within your energetic field, and that can make you really confused. It can make you really fragmented, really sick. And so that's the first reminder that comes up. It's like, take care of yourself, both emotionally, mentally, physically, and energetically. And that's like my forever mission, and like why I'm here to like what I'm here to remind the world of, and through my own journey, and through the offerings that I put out. But this is especially poignant this month. I also want to pay attention to the archetype that's being offered to us, the white Tara. There's many different types of Taras, right? And Tara symbolizes almost like a female Buddha. White Tara in specific symbolizes purity, right? I think maturity, like spiritual maturity, emotional maturity. And so this is also coming up this month. This notion of like, again, we're in Gemini season. We're going to be receiving opportunities to self-interrogate and question and be curious and hold duality. And so when you come across something where you're like, I don't know if I like that, you're immediately programmed to like judge. That's like, switch that, take that, and like interrogate, almost like take it and eat it. What does that feel like in my body? What does that feel like in my brain? Why is my first instinct to judge it? Right? That's going to happen a lot in conversations with people. It's going to happen a lot online, like so much. And so before you do the thing where it's just like, oh, I'm going to go and block that person, or I'm going to go and like send this post to my best friend so we can have a judge fest together, self-interrogate, because that is going to offer you a truth that you need on your own healing journey. Shit, some of that may come from me. Again, I'm posting these videos and like my art most recently, which has been so fun to create. It's like bringing me back to loving social media, because if you really follow my stuff, you know I talk a lot about like how much I've started to hate it throughout the years as somebody who has been creating online for over 12 years. And so with that, like I am posting things that are really raw, really about like things that I've learned, things that I really hold as truth now on my path to healing. And so you may be witnessing something from me or a creator like myself that you may be like, oh, I usually trust her, but I don't like what she's saying, or that's hitting a nerve, or that's making me feel like I'm doing a bad job at my life because I haven't learned that yet. Or I may have another perspective or another idea, and it makes you want to like, it makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you want to tussle. It's normal. I want you to know that, especially on the online world, we are in this age of Aquarius, right? Pluto in Aquarius, that is going to happen. I want you to know that there's a difference, okay? There's a difference between creating art, content, conversations. And when I say content, I don't just mean online content, but the content of a conversation, the content of an expression, the content of somebody's energy, right? There's a difference between creating something, an expression that is purposely triggering to get people riled up, and content or expressions that trigger. I'm going to speak for myself, but I personally do not aim to create any type of expressions that are triggering. I create expressions that are true to me, and because they are true to me and they are deep, they often trigger. And so this is a big month to really differentiate the difference. Do not engage with somebody who's obviously trying to trigger you, because people do that. People do that, especially if you're a sensitive being. Somebody may know that you are somebody that feels things deeply, and so they may say things to get you aroused just so that they could feel powerful. People get hard on from like seeing how somebody reacts to their expression. And I think that's such a weird thing. And I'm not saying I've never done it, maybe with my husband, maybe, you know, maybe when I was a kid, for sure. I think I've healed those versions of myself already. But there are some people who continue to do this in life where like their sense of power comes from harming another person, from making somebody react, from seeing somebody crumble. And so know the difference, okay? And when you come to these situations, these parts of your path where you are triggered, not because somebody's aiming to trigger you, but you are triggered, know that you have a choice to make, right? Instead of making the choice to be judgmental and like project or like deflect onto that person, self-interrogate. I don't know why I keep doing the swallowing thing, but that's what I keep saying. Like, I'm going to fucking take this and I'm going to swallow it and I'm going to see how it feels in my body. I'm going to see where does this land? Is it in my belly? Is it in my legs? Like, is it in my childhood? Is it in my adolescence? Is it in my adulthood? Is it last week when I had this conversation with somebody and that shit is triggering that type of wound? Whatever your process is your process. I want you to develop that for yourself, but take it in, be with it, okay? And don't let it stay. Energetically poop it out, okay? Get rid of it. Have some sort of ritual. And that's what the full moon in Scorpio is about. Is like write down everything. And of course, I have videos on this. I'm not going to put it up here again. I talk about it in every single video, but I have a full, I just said I'm not going to talk about it and I'm talking about it, but whatever. I have a full masterclass on like the sun, the moon, how can we use its power, rituals, all the things. But one of my favorite rituals and one of the OGs is just like write down everything that comes to mind about a certain thing, situation, anything that feels heavy and dense in your body, and then sit with it for a moment before you burn it, okay? And offer it to the air, right? Because it's Gemini season. But White Tara, she came with some medicine for us. Let's get into the next card coming from the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell and see what the message is for us, for the collective, for May 2025. Ooh, that one just like glanced, just like, not glanced, glided. Glided. Is there a past tense for glided? No. Align your life. What is no longer in alignment with who you truly are? Talk about this matching with the month, the energy of the month. Talk about this matching. This is like truly full moon in Scorpio energy. And not that I want to pick favorites between luminary moments, but if I were to choose which lunation is like the most important and most powerful, it would be this full moon in Scorpio that's happening in literally 6 days as I'm recording this, because this is what it's all about. Look how fragmented this person is. Like their perspective of themselves is fragmented because they're not seeing the truth of themselves. Why? Probably they need to like self-interrogate and like do that shadow work. But this is what this month is all about. Aligning your life, right? One of the videos I'm also going to make in this 36 for 36 series is about alignment and how truly we can't necessarily be out of alignment. We are always in alignment in the sense that we are always receiving opportunities to make shifts and decisions in our life that are going to affect our entire path. That's my perspective of it. And that helps me a lot. It helps me a lot to have the perspective that even when my ego is just like, oh, you made a bad decision, this feels bad. It's just like, no, I can't possibly make a bad decision because Spirit is always going to give me opportunities to end up where I need to end up. Right? And sometimes alignment doesn't necessarily feel good. So even if I feel shitty in this moment, I could still be on the way. I am always on the way. I am always on the way. My decisions just make my path easier and more filled with pleasure, or it makes it really long and arduous. And so this month is truly about paying attention. The one message, the only message that my spirit guides offered me before I started this video, which is a practice that I have before I record these readings, they talked about silence. And I'm like, but it's Gemini season. Like this is chatty, 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 wit, mental energy. And they're like, yeah, that's why you need silence. And so being able to balance out all the mental stimulation and activity, the like constant buzz of information that you're receiving through your senses with silence is going to be very important, not just for your nervous system, but for being able to parse out the guidance and the clarity from the noise. Being able to truly parse out, like these are all the things that exist within you as you're self-interrogating. Which ones are your truth? Where did these come from? Where did these originate? Which do you want to keep? Because honestly, we don't have to release everything that doesn't belong to us. Some stuff we inherited that's really good. Mindsets, beliefs, whatever, thought patterns. Sometimes we've inherited things that aren't so good. Sometimes we're keeping in storage, almost like mental, physical, energetic storage, things that originated within us that aren't good. And so just taking inventory is really important, and you can really only do that in a space and in a moment of silence. So prioritizing silence and stillness as ritual. I also want you to think of what we just got in this card, like again, these triggering moments, and being able to sit with them, not just as this moment to judge yourself or judge another, but again, as a moment of clarity, like that moment being able to offer you clarity on what it is that's really happening within you. Look, these colors are almost very similar. I love when that happens. But like, what's happening within me, and how is this moment of trigger of like discomfort, offering me clarity on the way to aligning with a version of myself that I keep envisioning. Very random, but lastly, what's also coming up with this card, because I'm really trying to be good on time and make this reading not an hour long like the other ones have, but something that is coming up is a note that I wrote in my journal months ago, maybe a year ago, that I kind of like woke up with. Sometimes I wake up and I'm in the ethers and I type on my journal because I have a digital journal, whatever it is that's in my mind. And something that I typed was, and I'll try to post it here on the screen if I find it, was to release the ideal version of you because it's limiting you. Release the ideal version of you, the ideal version of you that lives in your head, because it's limiting you. And that just like broke my brain when I wrote it down and it came through me. But it's coming up now, and as I'm making the connections, it makes total sense as we're talking about aligning your life and being triggered and really uncovering truths and things that are lies and things that are malfitting, that don't fit within our actual like structure. Like, we have a blueprint that we're here to carry out, and like some of these truths, beliefs, thought forms, habits, behaviors just don't fit that. When I think of how we sometimes want to manifest this ideal version of us, that often is rooted in conditioning that we experience. That's often rooted in things that we see look good on other people that may not look good for us. And so as we're on this journey of life and evolution, we have these opportunities to both make decisions and also just continue to navigate. And we're hit with these moments of like trigger and discomfort, of feeling like, oh, I might have made a wrong decision. Oh, this is painful. Oh, this is like, doesn't feel good. Really seeing that as direction, right? Sometimes that has to do with getting away from a certain decision, something, whatever, something that has to do with that ideal version that you see of yourself. And that can leave us really, really confused. And sometimes that happens and we end up focusing on the confusion. For instance, let me give you an example because I don't know if I'm making sense. Let's say I have a dream of really becoming a florist, right? And I have this really big dream of becoming a florist. And so I dream of my shop and my florals and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm making decisions and I'm doing my stuff. And then something happens that really prevents me from like opening this florist shop. And it's just like, oh my God, I'm so confused. Did I make a wrong decision? And sometimes we like, what am I doing wrong? Maybe I'm like, maybe I got to push harder. Like, how can I push harder into this decision, into this dream of doing floral art or whatever? I don't know. I think I chose a wrong profession, but whatever, a wrong dream. But we have the urge to like resist, right? The human urge to resist because we're feeling discomfort. And sometimes we just sort of have to like just live with the discomfort, just like put it down. Be with the discomfort. What is this really saying to me? Maybe I have this dream of opening this like florist shop, this small, cute shop, boutique shop. And it's not that your dream is irrelevant or that it's not something that you need to be doing, but maybe you need to put it down so that you can have the space to pay attention to what's going on here, which is this massive collaboration with this already established floral entity. I don't know. Are you catching my drift here? Like, sometimes we need to put it down. Put it down, see it, look at it. How does this feel? Why do I feel resistance? If it's resistance, that's not intuition, that's ego. The difference between intuition and ego is like resistance and fear and like, oh my God, what happens if I don't push? Calm down. Calm down. You're always in alignment, right? And so that's what's coming up for this card. I really hope I'm making sense. A lot of these readings come out really scrambled because I have so much coming through my mind, but calm. Pay attention. Things and clarity is going to be coming through from all ways, and we need the silence, the stillness, the anti-resistance. Don't push. Don't push, because the universe is pulling you. And if you push, where are you going to end up? It's not a game of push and pull. It's a game of flowing, right? And I know that can be really hard, especially in this day and age when there is so much going on in the world, when we are naturally inclined to fight, and we should be. But fight with your decisions, not with your mental, I gotta resist it, I gotta push and put. Calm down. Calm down. It'll happen for you. I'm very curious to see what's going to come out with the next couple of cards. I chose some different decks today. I was guided to pull this deck, the Moon deck. Only God knows why, and we'll find out why in a second. But let's see. I'm not using my usual decks. Let's see what card pops up for us here for May 2025 for the highest and greatest good of the collective. All right, we had a card. We had two cards jump out, 4 and 36. The rhythm of my breath directs the rhythm of my life, and it is safe and beautiful to express my sensuality. I feel like we got the sensuality cards a few months ago, but here are the cards that we got. Here are the cards that we got. Okay, so this card is initially giving me very much Gemini energy. The rhythm of my breath directs the rhythm of my life. I'm a yoga teacher, right? So when I think of breath, I think of life force energy. I think of prana. I think of ritual. I think of sadhana. I think of taking the time for stillness, taking the time to practice, taking the time to be with yourself, taking the time to embody whatever it is that's moving through you so that it can be tended to and released if necessary. This is a really good practice for this month. Again, Gemini season, air, right? It's an air season, it's an air sign. And we're being called to like release. Like, yes, it's a new moon in Gemini, but we're being called to release, especially release judgment. Again, because we're talking about triggers and triggering moments of clarity. Breath work is a beautiful way to release the tension that sometimes happens when you are like massaging yourself energetically through a triggering moment so that you can come to the clarity that you're being offered by the universe. I have breathwork videos on this channel that are going to be really helpful. The main one that comes to mind is Ego Eradicator. If you can do a 40 days, even a 21 day, okay? Try to do a 21 day sadhana, even a 7 day sadhana, which is daily spiritual practice with Ego Eradicator, where you do Ego Eradicator for 3 minutes a day. You are going to feel the difference. You're going to feel the difference if you do Ego Eradicator for 3 minutes on the first day. But doing it continuously is truly breaking apart all the calcification in your aura, in your body, in your lungs. It's just a really, really beautiful practice. I love how practical this reading is getting. Like, hey, y'all are about to deal with a lot in the month of May. So here's a practice that can truly return you to your truth and help you decalcify so that you can keep moving forward. And then this card, it is safe and beautiful to express my sensuality. This card to me is less about sensuality and more so pointing to the energetic center where our sensuality resides, which is our sacral chakra, okay? Which is very important to all the Scorpio energy that we're getting again, because the sacral governs not only sensuality and sexuality, but also emotion and also creation, right? So there's this reminder again, this reverberation of like our words create worlds. Okay, our energy also creates worlds. Our energy creates connections, creates clarity or lack thereof. It can create clarity or it can create denseness and confusion. You decide. And your decision is based on, the clarity and the denseness is based on and really rooted in your decisions, right? The decisions that you choose to make on a daily basis. Are you, do you have a morning practice where you are cleansing and protecting yourself? Do you have an evening practice where you are cleansing and protecting yourself? What kinds of words, energy, intentions are you carrying out throughout your day as you are eating, as you are walking, as you are speaking, as you are conversing, as you are engaging with folks? So these are two really practical cards. This one, again, is highlighting that this energetic center of emotion and creativity, highlighting how our decisions are of paramount importance and should be incorporated into our daily practices, but also the importance of our emotions this month. And I know I spoke about it a little bit. Here's some honking outside. I don't know if you can hear it from here, but there's some honking outside for emphasis. The importance of our emotions and being able to see them not as a nuisance, because I'm getting that this is a big month to reframe our perspective with difficult emotions. Difficult emotions are really important because they act as a guide. They act as a signal for not just like what we don't like and what we don't want, but like why and what is that bringing us closer to. Even though we may have this reaction with a negative emotion, we should reframe it as just like, oh, why am I uncomfortable with this? Because I don't want to be uncomfortable. Again, we are on this journey to actualize a life of pleasure. And so when you come across a negative emotion, I am trying to always be in this space of like, let me get myself closer to this. Why am I uncomfortable with you, emotion? Where'd you come from, discomfort? Where'd you originate? When was the first age that I knew that you existed, right? That I was uncomfortable with this thing that I am viewing or like in relationship with at this moment. And like really, like that's the shadow work, right? Being able to live the shadow work, not just like do the workbook and then forget about it. Not just like do the ritual and then forget about it. Not just like read the Instagram post about shadow work, save it, and then forget about it. It's like doing the work and incorporating the work into your daily life so that it can show up in your aura, so that it can show up in your body, so that it can show up in your actions, in your, you know, in your field, so that you can vibrate differently. And so loving the reminders that these cards are offering us for the month of May. Ooh, I'm loving this reading. And I'm loving the style of like, let's just get it out, Melanie. Sometimes I over-explain myself, and that's my shit that I deal with as a Gemini. Anybody else feel like they like over-explain? And it's not that I trust myself. I trust what I'm saying. I just want to make sure y'all understand what I'm saying. And so I'm working on it. Let's move forward with one of my newer decks, the Infinite Wisdom of the Chakras deck. And let's pull a card, second to last card for the month of May for the collective. Ooh. Okay, we got card 22, okay? I like to say the numbers because they always mean something. But Divine Flow Confidence, which is so crazy because we just got this card talking about the sacral chakra, and right above it we have the solar plexus, which is absolutely so important, especially for this month, based on all the things that we're talking about. But because when we talk about the solar plexus, this is our space of will, of self-confidence, of self-esteem. And so when we do shadow work, this is the space that's being like regenerated. We're sort of like releasing from the sacral. And like because of that, the solar plexus, which lives in the belly button region, is being regenerated. We gain this refreshed connection with our truth, with the ability to do and be in the world. The card says, let go of doubt and move forward confidently. And this is almost like a result card, like, right? Like based on all the work that we do here, sensitivity, align your life, like truly paying attention to how things show up, committing ourselves to working through them in very practical ways, not just staying in the mental, but again, grounding them into practical actions, rituals, ways that we can pivot our mental energy so that they can work for us, so that the mental energy works for us. Because with judgment and like, with judgment specifically, like I'm getting just a lot of like, judgment is like the wrong way to go. It just makes things really hard. Judgment, confusion, it pulls us away from our truth. With grace and being able to commit to working through and doing what we need to do to dive in, right? To dive deep, very Scorpio energy, we get to come to this space of self-trust. Self-trust. This has been coming up a lot in my alignment sessions. And if you want us to get a one-on-one alignment session with me, I do have sessions available for May. But self-trust has been coming up a lot because this is what's really at the root of feeling in alignment with the peace and abundance that we're all looking for. We're all looking for peace and abundance in some way or another. This is what's at the root of it, is self-trust. It's not like receiving an opportunity that you've never had before. It's just like trusting that you're doing what you need to do. And like trusting that you are acting in spiritual integrity is what's really coming up. In spiritual integrity, not just doing things because that person did it. Oh, Sally made this decision and like she got that type of house and money and car and partner, so I'm gonna do the same shit and hopefully like it works out for me. No, be in your spiritual integrity. Maybe you need to start all the way at the bottom. Maybe you're at the top and you gotta start all the way at the bottom. It's okay, ain't no shame. Ain't no shame in that game. Okay, do what you need to do for you. Maybe you've done a lot of shadow work and you're back to an area of your life where you're just like, man, I can't believe that I have to do shadow work again. Ain't no shame. I'm sitting here with you teaching you this, right? We're doing this reading. I just stopped the mic. I hope y'all didn't hear that. But teaching you this, I got to do shadow work on my own. I already did my personal energy reading for May, and I have a bunch of shadow work to do because the journey is continuous. It's that human ego and human arrogance that tells us like, we've reached the end of this cycle, boo-boo. We're done. And I hate when astrologers say that shit. Especially, no hate to the astrologers, but I hate when they be like, this is the end of a cycle. Yeah, sure. This round, And then when it shows up again next year or the year after that or the next month, whatever, we still got to keep working through. Some of us show up with like karmic wounds. A karmic wound cannot be released by booking a reading for 2222 with somebody who says they can heal it for you. It's you doing the work and continuously committing to doing the work to undo that knot. And sometimes you undo the knot and there's another knot under it. That ever happened to you? Hate that when that happens. But like sometimes you undo the knot and there's another knot. And sometimes there's another knot and another knot. And it's just like we have to stay committed. And the only way that we can stay committed is through rest and silence and like community and all these things that we need for these practices and this work, this life's work to be sustainable, right? But that's what it takes on the road to this. That's what it takes on the road to this. What a gorgeous card. I love that this woman is also doing woman goddess. I love that she's a goddess, first of all, because I always tell my female clients, because I do read people of all gender expressions, shapes, sizes, colors, and walks of life. But I always tell my female clients that, you know, the solar plexus is the space where more sirens. I not only see the inner child, but it's sort of like the space of like goddess energy. And we all have it, no matter, you know, what gender expression you express as. This is a space of goddess energy that like commands because your aura is so brilliant and doesn't have to demand it. I also love that she's doing this like cobra pose in yoga, is what we call the cobra, because this is an activation of the spine and a heart opener, right? And look at her head reaching up, her intuition reaching up towards the heaven, her intuition connecting her. Like this is like self-trust embodied, right? So this is also really practical. Take this with you in a moment of deep distrust of self. It happens, or maybe this is a practice that you do before and after your shadow work. Getting into that cobra pose is really beautiful. If you're doing this in the morning, doing some sun salutations would be great. Honestly, sun salutations are great any time of day, especially during this Gemini season, right? The sun is going to be in Gemini. So maybe doing this pose with the intention of connecting with your inner truth, making sense of the mental energies that are within you. Love how practical these cards are, but love this cobra pose because again, it's an activation of the spine, which is the Sushumna, the highway of the highway for Kundalini energy, that divine, creative, sensual, sexual, creative energy, manifestation energy, a heart opener, opening you up to love in all forms, abundance in all forms, forgiveness, grace, and also your intuition and perspective. I love it. All right, I want to choose a bonus deck from this deck that was gifted to me, the Earth and Body deck by Jolene Hart. It's such a beautiful deck, and I don't use it often enough, but I wanted to choose a bonus card for May, just to see what comes up. Look at how gorgeous. Like, are you kidding? It's really, really beautiful. But let's see, what's a bonus card that comes up? No direction. I just want to see what comes up and why. Ugh. Okay. We actually had a couple cards come out. Let's see. We got the sun. Of course. Of course we got the sun, as we were just talking about the sun, the life force. I will remember that my life force shines brilliantly from within me, even when it feels dimmed or obscured. Beautiful message for this month, especially as we were dealing with a lot of shadow work, lots of triggering stuff that's meant to guide us deeper to our truth, right? The sun also being a guide, the sun being this giver of life. We got the sunset. Oh my God. The sunset representing I will be present in the moment to witness the spectacular beauty of nature as often as I can, reminding us that we are nature too. We are nature too. Also a video for my 36 for 36 series that I'm going to be putting out. But taking a moment to witness the spectacular beauty of the intelligence of our lives, the ways that things unravel for our highest and greatest good, even when it feels like shit, is so important. Wow. And then we have moss, the softness. The softness. I will add moments of softness to my life, letting myself savor easy, gentle pleasure. So this is like where we are right now, Taurus season. We haven't yet gotten to the hardness of like that full moon in Scorpio. So we have an opportunity to really secure, okay, while we're still in Taurus season, before we get into like the craziness of like Scorpio, Gemini, all that stuff, I'm going to really pay attention to what kinds of softness that I experience in this month of Taurus. Since April 21st, what softness, pleasures, beauty have I injected into my life have I taken part in? What things have felt soft and like really regenerative for me? And how can I keep that going through May, through June, through the rest of the year, right? In order for me to really make the most of all the things that are happening for me. Wow, what a reading. What a reading. Thank you for watching along. Thank you for watching along. I want to hear in the comments how this landed for you. I love engaging with y'all in the comments. I love hearing about how this is showing up in your life. I love sharing with you how this is showing up in my life, especially on Instagram. So please follow me there, especially on TikTok, which I'm starting to use way more. But please let me know in the comments how this landed for you. I cannot wait to see how this month unravels for us collectively as well. Because as we come to more truth individually, we also come to more truth as a collective, and we really have opportunity to take into account all the guidance that we got in this reading for us individually and collectively, right? Something like our words create worlds. Think about how that may be reflected in our world right now, especially a world that needs us to be, there goes my alarm, especially in a world that needs us to be paying attention to the ways that we express ourselves, because our decisions literally create worlds. From voting to purchasing to the people that we choose to support, to the ways that we post online, the things that we choose to share, the clothes that we wear, the products that we use, like all of it matters, right? And when we take into account how we're doing that individually, it is rippled out into the collective. Thank you for sitting through this reading. Please share it with somebody that you love. Share it online. Give this a thumbs up if you learned something, if you felt nourished in some type of way, because that's always my goal. And I will see you for the next reading for June. Love you.